Okay, guys, today we're going to continue to solve rational expressions, but then the difficulty level gets upped a little bit. So I've got 2 plus negative 4 over x plus 2 equals 2 over x. So I would want 3 fractions here, as I can see, obviously, so we have fractions everywhere. So the first thing I do is, again, we're solving for x. Now, there might be more than one answer, and I'll figure that out shortly. So what I do is extend the fractions so they're bigger. Big fraction plus big fraction equals another pretty large fraction. Now I'm going to parenthesize where I have adding in the expression. So no there, just drop it down. Nothing there. If that's a 1, we can just disregard it, okay? Negative 4 would just be dropped. Now, that at least is an expression with adding and subtracting. However, it would not be factorable because it's 2 terms without a GCF and it's not a difference of perfect squares. So I just drop that down. And then I have 2 and then x. Okay. Now, the reason I made those bigger is because I know I'm going to have to add some things because I need to come up with a lowest common denominator. So I've got a parentheses factor of x plus 2, and then I've got x, and that's known as an outer x, okay? So outer or outside x. Okay, so how do I don't have any x plus 2's on the bottom there. I have 1 here, and I don't have any here, okay? So that means everyone needs 1. So I need to bring my own x plus 2 here, and I'm going to times by x plus 2 here. Okay, now this already had its x plus 2, so we don't need to bring 1 in. But I need to bring in an x plus 2 there, and an x plus 2 there. Okay, now look for outer x's. Remember, if x is in a parentheses, it doesn't count as an outer x. So there are no outer x's here. There are none here. There's 1 here. So I need to bring my own outer x into the first 2 fractions. So times x, and then times x, times x. Now, from this point on, when we're solving equations, we can just ignore the bottoms. Okay? Ignore the bottoms. And now my equation, what I'm going to do is, and by the way, I'm going to show you how to do it on the Math Papa calculator. Pause the video and get that up. Okay. And we can plug this to find out this side. We can plug that in. So I've got 2. And instead of times, you can just put parentheses x plus 2. And then close the parentheses. And we're going to times by x, okay? And then we're going to plus negative 4 times x, which is just negative 4x. Okay, I'm going to find out what happens on that side of the equals. Okay, and I just come up with 2x squared, okay? Okay, so I have 2x squared on that side. And then this side's pretty easy. It's just going to be 2x plus 4. Okay, so that's what we have here. Now, if you don't have that luxury on the calculator, what you're going to do is to figure out this side, I'm going to make a parentheses for the first fraction plus a parentheses for the second. So in the first one, what I'm going to have is, first off, I'm going to have 2 times x. I'm going to times the 2 outer ones, and that's 2x, okay? So I'm going to have 2x times, and then x plus 2. Plus negative 4x. And then again, I take 2x times 1x, that's 2x to the second. And then 2x times 2 is 4x. And I got negative 4x. But then those like terms cancel out, and that's how we got 2x squared. Now on the other side, again, I would distribute, and that's how you get 2x plus 4. Okay, so now I have to solve this equation. Now I have two x's that are not like terms, so everything needs to be moved to one side. So I'm going to minus 2x, and that would just go here, and then I'm going to minus 4, and that would just go here. Okay, so now I'm at 0, and I have 2x to the second power minus 2x minus 4. Okay, so it's a trinomial I need to factor, or at least try to. If factoring doesn't work, we're going to use a quadratic formula. GCF is 2, but it wouldn't be 2x, okay? So I divide by 2. That's going to be 1x to the second minus 1x minus 2. Okay, so I go with the ABC. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. So I'm looking for a difference that's going to equal 1, hopefully, and that's 1 and 2. There it is. A equals 1, so I can just make 2, and x times x, and then the 1 and the 2. So I've got minus 1, so you're going to have minus 2, and difference would be plus 1. Now, this 2 did not have an x, so I just kind of ignore that. So there's two answers. X plus 1 equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0. So I subtract 1, and I get negative 1. Plus 2, and I get 2. So negative 1 and 2 are the two solutions to that equation. Okay, let's do a few more. Okay, 5 over x minus 2 times x plus 3 equals 2, and then you can put a 1 there if you want. You're not really going to use it. And then x minus 3 and x minus 2. So I parenthesize there, and now I make big fraction equals big fraction plus big fraction. Okay, and now I drop the 5. These both are parenthesized, but they would not be factorable because there are not DOPS's, there's no GCF to them, so I just drop those down. Then the 2 gets dropped, and then these are prime expressions as well, meaning we cannot try to factor them. Okay, so LCD, I've got x minus 2, I've got x plus 3. And that's pretty much it. I just have another x minus 2. Okay, so I've got 1, 0, and 1. Okay, so in the 0, we need to put a new x minus 2 there. X plus 3, I have 1, 0, and 0. So in the zeros, I put a times x plus 3 and a times x plus 3. Okay, now that all the denominators are the same, we can cross those out. Okay, and I set up an equation here. So on the first fraction, I just have a 5. Well, that's easy enough, okay, because it's not really being multiplied by anything. Now on the other side of the equals, we got some multiplication. Now we can plug that all into the Math Papa calculator. And then I've got 2 times is shift 8, parentheses x minus 2 times shift 8, parentheses x plus 3, plus, parentheses x minus 3, times, parentheses x plus 3. Okay. I hit calculate it, and I get 3x squared plus 2x minus 21. Okay, and again, what you do if you didn't have that Math Papa calculator, what I would do, I would write out, I would make 2 parentheses first. I know I did that on the last one. It wasn't done very well. And then on the other fraction, we've got x minus 3 times x plus 3. Okay, first I would multiply this by 2, and that's 2x minus 4. And then I would do the FOIL method. I'd take 2x times 1x, 2x times 3, negative 4 times x, and negative 4 times 3. You put a 1 there. So it's 2x squared, 6x, negative 4x, and negative 12. So that makes 2x to the second plus 2x minus 12. The other one goes straight to FOIL. So 1x times 1x, 1x times 3, negative 3 times 1x, and negative 3 times 3. So 1x to the second, 3x, negative 3x, those cancel, negative 9. 1x squared plus negative 9. Then we collect like terms. 2 plus 1 is 3. The only x I have is the plus 2x, and then negative 12 minus 9 is negative 21. Okay, and that's how we derived at that answer. Okay, again, we have x's that are not like terms, so we need to move the 5 so we clear one side. Obviously, that's the best way to do it. So now I have 3x to the second plus 2x minus 26 equals 0. And there's 3 terms, so I'd go with my GCF and my T-chart. Okay, GCF, we don't have one. And then A times C. I take 3 times negative 26, that's negative 78. Difference of 2. So it's not 1 and 78. 2 and 39, no, that's not close. 26. Nope. 78, I don't think is divisible by 4. It's not. 5. 6 and 13. No, that's 7. And then nothing else works, I'll tell you that straight up. So if I can't find a difference of 2, we use our song. So the opposite of b, plus or minus d square root, b squared minus 4, and then a and a c. So b is 2, and then a is 3, and c is negative 26. And then we're going to take 2 times 3, which we know is 6. Okay, so there's obviously 2 answers because of the second power told me. So I have negative 2 plus or minus something over 6. Now, I take 2 times itself, and I take 4 times 3 times negative 26. Okay, and I get 4 minus, I got negative 312 plus plus, and that's 316, and then I'm going to find the square root of 316. And I got 17.77 or 78. If you're off on the rounding, don't worry about it. Okay, and also you can punch in that square root on your calculator by hitting second square root, make a double parentheses for the 2, second power, minus 4, 3, and negative 26. Boom, same thing. Okay, so I take negative 2 plus 17.78 hit equals, divided by 6, and that's 2.63. Negative 2 minus 17.78, click equals, divide by 6, negative 3.29 or 3.30. Okay, next. Again, we need to set up larger fractions so we can bring LCDs into the problem. Because with 3 fractions, you do the LCD. With 2, it's easy. You can just set up your A, B, C, D. Okay? But with 3, that's dicey. So 3 is dropped, 2 is dropped, 4 is dropped. This would go in parentheses, but it can't be factored because there's no second power. Can't be factored. And we can't factor x minus 1. If it was x to the second minus 1, I'd do a dots. So LCD. For parentheses, we got x minus 1. And then we also have an outer 2. Okay, so x minus 1 is 0, 1, 1. So I bring in my own x minus 1. Outer 2, I have 1, 0, 0. Okay, so I like to put outer ones kind of in front, but that's your decision. It'll be the same thing. Okay. And on this side, I'd have to take, again, Math Papa calculator. You take 3, shift 8, parentheses x minus 1, plus 4 times 2 is 8. I'm just going to put 8 here. Okay. I got 3x plus 5. On the other one, I mean, you can punch that into the math thing, but you should know that's 2x plus 2. Again, without the benefit of the calculator, it's pretty obvious this is 2 plus 2x. The other side, I'd make the 2 parentheses, okay? And I've got 3 times x minus 1, and then 4 times 2. So it's going to be 3x minus 3, and that's 8. So we got 3x, negative 3 plus 8 is 5. Okay, now it's pretty obvious here, to be honest with you. The x's are like terms, so let's get them on the same side. Okay, all the x's in the problem go together. So that's 1x plus 5. Who needs factoring? You don't need to factor here because you collected x's on the same side. So minus 5 minus 5. 1x equals negative 3. And that's the answer. I don't need to divide by 1. You can, but it's just the same thing. Okay. And then the next one, you can put a 1 there if it makes you feel better, but I'm not going to worry about 1 when I do my LCD. Okay, prime, negative 4. I'm not even going to worry about putting a 1 there. 2, and then x minus 3 is prime. Okay, so LCD. Looks to me like all we have to worry about is the x minus 3. So there's 1, 0, 1. So where there's 0, I put x minus 3. X minus 3. So on this side, we just have 2. On the other side, you can punch in 6 plus negative 4 times x minus 3, parentheses x minus 3 onto Math Papa. Or you can, again, do this. Okay, we just got 6 here, so that's easy. And the other one, we got negative 4 times x minus 3. So it's going to be negative 4x plus 12. Okay, so I'm going to have negative 4x. 6 plus 12 is 18. So negative 4x plus 18. Now this is the only x I have, so I just go isolate it. Okay. And I get 4. Okay, and then the last one we're going to look at is this one, parenthesize that. So make the fractions larger because you got to get all the denominators the same so you can cross it out. So 1, 2x, 3, and that's not a factorable expression. Okay, there's nothing you can do to factor that. Okay, so I've got a parentheses factor of x plus 7. And then I've got an outer 2, meaning it can't be, it's not in the parentheses, and I have an outer x. Okay, x plus 7, I got 0, 1, and 0. So times x plus 7. And then that has to also be times by x plus 7. Okay, outer 2, well, I have 1 there. I don't have any here, and I don't have any here. Okay, so I'm going to The ones where I don't have any, I times by 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, outer x's. There's 1. That's an inner x, not an outer x. So 0 and 1. So in the 0, we got to bring our own x into the problem. Okay, so right here on this side, you can punch that into the Math Papa calculator. Actually, I would have to multiply. I punch basically out here. I'll show you how that works. So 1, shift 8, parentheses, x plus 7, close it. And then we have to add 3 times 2. Sorry, shift 3 times 2 times x, okay? Okay, so on that side I end up with 7x plus 7. And on the other side I've got negative 1, shift 8, parentheses, x plus 7, shift and then 2. Okay, negative 2x minus 14. Okay, and again, how you do that is, first off, let's look at the side we have to add on. So I got 1 times x plus 7, and then 3 times 2 times x. Here I just distribute 1x plus 7. Then here, that's going to be 6 with x. You just multiply straight across, okay? I'm going to have 7x plus 7. That's how I got this side. Now on the other side, there's not really any adding. It's just negative 1 times x plus 7 times 2. So I times the two outer ones to get negative 2. And then I times that by x plus 7. So negative 2x plus negative 14. Okay, only one answer, so we got x's, get them together. And so 9x plus 7 equals negative 14. So 9x equals negative 21, then I divide by 9. That can be negative 21 over 9. You could also divide it into a decimal, or you could divide it by 3, and it's negative 7/3. Okay, and then right here again, parenthesize that because there's a minus, and that because I see a plus, so I drop the 1. X minus 2 can't be factored. I drop the 2, 3x, and then x plus 2 is an expression, but I can't factor it. So LCD, we got x minus 2. And we got x plus 2, nothing outer. So 1, 0, 0. So I need to bring in x minus 2. X minus 2. 0, 0, 1. So times x plus 2 times x plus 2 times x plus 2 times x plus 2. And we already had the x plus 2. Okay, so I can punch this whole side into the calculator on Math Papa, and then this side, come on, it's just a 3x. I mean, yeah. So I know what comes out of the third one, but the second two I'd probably need, the one where I need to add. Okay. 1 times x plus 2, and then 2 times x minus 2 times x plus 2. So it's going to just be 1x plus 2. The other side, I'm going to first multiply 2 by 1x, 2x, and minus 4 plus negative 4. Those are done. Now I do the FOIL method. 2x times 1x, 2x times 2, negative 4 times 1x, and negative 4 times 2. So I get 2x to the second, 4x, negative 4x. Those now cancel. And then negative 8. So I have 2x to the second minus 8. So for x seconds, I got 2x second plus 1x minus 6. Okay. Now I'm going to check on my math calculator to see if I did that right. So I'm going to have 1 parentheses x plus 2, close it, and then plus 2 shift 8 parentheses x minus 2, and then shift 8 parentheses x plus 2. And if you don't want to do it by hand on the scratch paper, you can just use this. That's fine. Yep, that's a 1x, so I did it right. Okay, so look at all your x's. They're not all like terms, so you need to move everything to one side. So I've got 2x squared minus 2x minus 6 equals 0. So 3 term. I have to factor this. That's why I move everything to one side if the x's aren't like terms. GCF, you got 2, not 2x, so just 2. So that's not an important factor without x when I go to solve it. It's going to be 1x to the second minus 1x minus 3. So negative 3, difference of 1. 2, and that's impossible then, so I go to my quadratic formula. So b plus or minus the square root. So b is negative 1, and we always put a 4 here. A is 1, and c is negative 3. And then I'm going to be taking 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay, so I've got 1 plus or minus over 2. And again, you can do that by hand with the 2 square roots, or you can use your calculator. So second square root, double it, negative 1 to the second, minus a 4, a 1, and a negative 3. 3.6, okay. So 1 plus 3.6 is 4.6. Divide by 2, you get 2.3. And then 1 minus 3.6 divided by 2 is negative 1.3. Again, calculators. If you don't have the good calculator, you take negative 1 times itself. 4 times 1 times negative 3. So I'm going to have 1 minus, and that's negative 12. 13. If I square root 13, I get 3.6.